We kick things off with Mr. Brian Lewis, president of the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee. We're talking about the Sport Industry TT Conference 2018 that is set to take place tomorrow. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
So we understand that the theme of the conference is youth, young people and women.
Yes, raising awareness and encouraging and fostering entrepreneurship. And that's the focus of the conference, which, as you mentioned, takes place tomorrow at the Hyatt Regency, starting at 8:30 a.m. And we'll have the keynote address being done by the Minister of Trade and Industry, the Honorable Senator Paula Gopi-Schoon.
What is the objective of the Sport Industry of Trinidad and Tobago Conference exactly?
Well, the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee and the Trinidad and Tobago, which is also the Trinidad and Tobago Commonwealth Games Association, has been advocating for a sustainable, viable wealth creation, income generating, net foreign exchange earning sport industry that is targeted. We have been putting out and targeting and setting the objective of it being a multi-billion-dollar TT industry by the year 2030. So this is the third annual edition of the Sport Industry TT Conference, and we're very excited about this year's conference by the fact that we are having the Minister of Trade and Industry. We also have amongst the panelists the Managing Director of Republic Bank Limited, Nigel Batiste, the Managing Director of RBC Royal Bank, Mr. Darrell White, and Jason Julian, the Deputy CEO Business Generation. We also have a number of course, it being International Women's Day, women will feature prominently on the program. We have the moderator, for example, is Nicole Duke Westfield, the President of the Public Relations Association of Trinidad and Tobago. We have Catherine Nurse, the founder of Immortal Beauty. We have Vicky Saunders from Australia, a sponsorship and brand building specialist, Cassandra Patravoni, Sylvester, Carla Paris, an attorney at law specializing in entertainment law. And it's a packed, a very interesting and insightful program.
What do you hope to achieve? I mean, this has been the third conference, so this will be the third conference. How successful have conferences in the past been?
All right, so it's about building the framework, fostering the conversation and narrative. So the first year, it was about just having conversations and people sharing thoughts and ideas and insight into an industry, the sport industry, looking at the fact that globally it's a 600 to 700 billion US industry. Coming out of that, we formed a think tank. We would have had Kevin Roberts from England and the Minister of Sport and Youth Affairs, Darrell Smith, being the keynotes on that program. The second year, we had Dr. Trevor Farrell, who at the time was the chairman of the Economic Advisory Board, and he gave the keynote. Coming out of that, we had meetings with the Economic Advisory Board in terms of advocating for the sports sector, sport industry sector, to be considered a key part and driver of the economic diversification of Trinidad and Tobago's economy, which is going through a very difficult time. And this year, as I said, we have taken another step now. We have focused now a lot on people who have been successful, but not only looking at a sport. So we have people like Jules Sobian, the Commander-in-Chief and Chief Executive Officer of Caesar's Army, Kurt Mo, the founder of Dignitary Entertainment, but it's more popularly known as their brand is Jam Nation, one of the growing and most biggest feds, along with Caesar's Army, so that they will come and be sharing perspective. Because if you look at the soca and carnival industry, there are entrepreneurs in that industry doing things and not depending on government handouts or waiting for government. And that's a challenge we're facing in the sport in Trinidad and Tobago, moving away from the total dependency on government to being more entrepreneurial, market-oriented.
That sounds like a great team that you have there for the agenda in terms of the people, the featured speakers.
We think so.
How successful have past conferences been in terms of gaining or earning net foreign exchange?
Well, remember, it's about stimulating the conversation, highlighting the facts, creating the awareness You know, it's a reality, I think, that sport is not taken seriously in the sense of it being a key driver of the economy of Trinidad and Tobago and a significant contributor to the GDP. But that's not the reality. I mean, if you consider sport, the fact that almost everybody now wears sneakers, somebody is selling those sneakers here in Trinidad and Tobago. Kieran Pollard is an entrepreneur doing very well, using his talents, just like a Marshall Montano or a Bunchy Gallin, Dwayne Bravo. You would have had Dwight York, Brian Lara, Sunil Lorraine. So Richard Thompson, Atto Bolden. The reality is, Jereme Richards now, Michelle Liahi, Kellyanne Batiste. The reality is that there's a lot going on in sport economically, but because we are not looking at it in a very significant and serious way and really funneling it, fueling it, empowering it via policy. I mean, yes, we talk about sport tourism, but sport tourism in isolation is really it's a plaster on a sore rather than looking at it from an overall significant industry perspective with the whole conversation and collaboration between public and private sector. So that we meaning the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee, we have been advocating for this conversation to take place in a very public way and putting it on the public agenda in terms of, you know, we are leaving billions on the table because the reality is that as I said earlier on, the global sports sector is a $600 to $700 billion US economy, making up of about 1% of the GDP of the global economy. So, you know, we need to take it a little serious. And as I said, you know, this week, it's a particular, we continue. It's always on the first Thursday in March. This year we have incorporated it into, because we're also celebrating, by the way, the Caribbean Association of National Olympic Committees, CANOC, first ever CANOC Week. And because it coincides with International Women's Day, we are celebrating women because the Olympic Committee has also a very significant agenda in terms of future as female and advocating for gender equality, advocating against domestic violence, advocating for equality in treatment of LGBTQs and a whole set of things. But for us, the economic aspect is critical because that is what funds a lot of things, whether it is 10 goal by 2024, future is female, next generation, the development of our youth and young people and women through sport to achieve not only success on the field, but off the field.
We even had J. Hugh Gordon here some time ago talking about
very much so, being very entrepreneurial. As I said, you know, there have been athletes doing it over the years, Darren Ganga. You know, you have athletes who have gone into media, Shaka Hislop.
Yes.
So it's not that it's not happening, it's just that it's not, we need to realize that it is something serious and put it on the agenda. In keeping with that, on Friday, we'll have for athletes at the BPTT box in the Queen's Park Oval, a workshop specifically for athletes dealing with sponsorship and brand building. Because as I said, you know, we all need to recognize that the economy is in a difficult place, and we need to seek for some self-sufficiency. You know, we can't depend like little baby birds with your mouth open waiting for mama bird to bring food.
This workshop is a separate workshop from the conference itself?
Yes, so the conference is tomorrow. It's Sport Industry. That's at the Hyatt Regency, 8 a.m. tomorrow. And then on the 9th, which is Friday, we have one specifically for athletes from 9 a.m. at the BPTT box in the Queen's Park Oval. And then if I may just slip in on the 10th, the completion of the CANOC week, we'll be supporting the professional ladies of Trinidad and Tobago in their walk around the Queen's Park Savannah at 2:30 p.m. We'll be doing that, we meaning the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee, in solidarity with celebration of International Women's Day.
Great, that sounds exciting. A lot on the agenda there. Is registration still open for this conference tomorrow?
Unfortunately, registration is closed. We are sold out.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank you so much for taking the
Thank
time
you
to be
very
part
much
of
for
our
having
show.
me.
Definitely a pleasure chatting with you and all
Thank
that
you.
you all are doing in terms of entrepreneurship and all of that.